Hey guys, so we're going to be talking about how to create a safe school in terms of preventing bullying and also the importance of that. Okay. So looking at the four provided articles, okay, they gave me a lot of good insight on how as a future school leader I could go about dealing with bullying. For the three essential priorities, okay, um, one of the biggest things in this one and in all of articles is emphasizing a caring and inclusive school environment. Um, this is one of the topics that is shown over and over again. Okay, and by doing this, you're showing the kids that they matter. They're important. Having an open and honest classroom environment where they feel like they have a voice. Um, Creating relationships with all these kids is essential to them feeling inclusive, them feeling valued and wanted at the school, okay, which can really help lower the effects of bullying. Less kids are going to want to bully, and that's obviously a good thing. With that, staff and faculty really need to embrace their leadership roles. They're the front line of preventing bullying because they're the ones who can create these relationships with the students. And again, collaborating with your community. Um, this is something where we get parents involved, let them know about bullying, the impacts of bullying, and then also we can partner with outside businesses that can help with some anti-bullying procedures. But most of this article really talks about how we can be supportive of our students as teachers, okay, and including them, being open with them, having good relationships with them can really help prevent bullying. And the second article about feeling respected, okay, this kind of has some similar ideas, but one of the big things that stood out to me was the difference of what respect means to teachers and students. For teachers, it's about feeling like kids are cooperating and in compliance with the rules, whereas students feel that respect is just basic recognition of humanity. Okay? So this really goes into about how, again, these relationships that we build with the students and how we treat the students fosters that positive environment which lowers bullying. By just doing small little things, like on a piece of work that maybe wasn't so great, putting an encouraging note on it. When a kid's struggling with something and gets something right that been struggling with for a while, just giving them a little pat on the back and saying, hey, that's awesome, good to go. Um, this really helps foster that positive environment. And also with this article, it talks about how having to change the status quo. That we really shouldn't have to be writing articles about being positive with our students and not having it be such a groundbreaking thing, but it really is. And going away from more of the punishment way of discipline and trying to get into more of a positive environment where the kids kind of have more of a voice and feel respected goes a long way in preventing bullying and also just creating a better school environment. Um, and this goes into breaking stereotypes, having teachers not fall victim to that, and building empathy with the kids, understanding what they're going through, and being there to support them in that. The third article about how to create warm and friendly environment. Again, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how important the classroom is set up to be warm and inviting. Obviously, the classroom procedures are really important. There's a lot of strategies that teachers can use, like creating classroom traditions where as a class every day you do something. This helps the kids feel a part of something. They feel like, they're in a team. They have people that can support them and they can rely on. Um, this includes building self-advocacy skills if the classroom is warm and inviting, a student should feel comfortable in asking for help, whether it's the teacher, whether it's another student. Yeah, that's a critical aspect of creating that positive environment. And then also really letting the students be a part of decision making and handling rules of the classroom goes a long way in creating that. And that's something that we see a lot. But again, once that positive um, environment is created, it really deters bullying because kids don't feel the need to, right? They feel like they're a part of things. They don't feel like they need to stand out and do all that. But a big thing that stood out to me is the classroom design and physical. Okay, just by having this bright, warm, open classroom that's neat and organized shows a kid the expectations in the classroom. That if the classroom's set up for learning, they should be learning. And this last article is about productive and positive learning environments. Okay, again, it's a lot of different things that teachers can do in the classroom. A lot of steps that it takes, but by having this positive and productive environment, helps kids learn, creates more of a community, better relationships, which deters bullying. And this goes into a lot of being consistent in discipline, having a code of conduct that kids know and can follow, teaching how to have positive behaviors instead of reacting negatively, reacting positively to different things, and really developing intrinsic motivation for the students to want to do better in the class and want to feel like they're a part of something. And all of these things go into preventing bullying and a safe school. But the biggest thing that I noticed throughout all of these is that need for a positive environment. If an environment's not positive, it's going to be a lot harder to have a safe school because kids don't feel welcome, they don't feel safe. And then in turn, there's just kind of that snowball effect of bad things happening when kids don't feel supported and safe. With the 4 articles that I found on bullying prevention, they all kind of had similar things that they talked about, and they're similar to the articles that were provided. The first one is a framework for school-wide bullying prevention. And again, the first thing that it says, the main way to deter this bullying is to create a safe school environment. And this goes into everything we already talked about, but also the need to have consistent rules throughout the school and having consistent discipline for when those rules are broken. By doing this, kids know what they're doing and what the expectations are, and if they do not follow these expectations, there's a clear and consistent punishment. This helps deter bullying because kids know what will happen to them if they bully someone and if they break these rules. The second article I found is about bullying prevention from the American Federation of Teachers. This one kind of goes into the teacher's role in preventing bullying. They're really that first line of prevention. We need to train teachers to recognize the signs of bullying. So if they see something that's happening in their classroom in the hallway that could lead to bullying, they could step in right away before it escalates. And then again, it goes into having them create a positive culture in their classroom. The third one is about putting anti-bullying policies in place at the school, similar to that first one, and they're then being clearly stated to students, to staff, and to the parents. With this, again, students know exactly what the policy is, and if they break this policy, there's a clear punishment and discipline for them, and that deters other kids from doing it because they see what will happen if they do it. Also with this article, they talked about in each curriculum, grade level, each content area, is putting anti-bullying material in all grade level curriculums. So this goes into what really is wrong with bullying, what happens to kids who are bullying, and that education can help kids kind of understand how big of a deal it actually is. And the last article that I read is, again, talking about the teacher's role and what they can do to help prevent bullying. Um, Again, there needs to be school-wide commitment and buy-in from the staff to reduce bullying. Um, One of the big things that's different in this article that's new to me compared to the rest of them was identifying groups of kids who might be more at risk of bullying and trying to build a more even better relationship with those kids, so they feel supported, and showing kids that different groups that maybe are bullying more aren't that different, and that'll deter it. And also about better supervision in at-risk areas. So if we're looking at the bullying data, the biggest things that happen with bullying is name calling, teasing, spreading rumors. The top three don't have anything to do with being physical, which is a little bit harder to deal with as a supervisor or teacher because it's not so obvious, right? It looks like two kids talking, but in reality, there could be bullying going on. Obviously, the other bullying, the more physical ones, the hitting, kicking, pushing, all of that stuff, is a little bit easier to identify. But those top three are really hard to identify sometimes, and we'll get into that in the next slide. It kind of surprised me that the classroom was the biggest instance of bullying because of that supervision. But again, teachers can't be everywhere in the classroom, and sometimes that happens. The other two, hallway or lockers, gym or PE class, bathroom, those make a little bit more sense. There's less supervision there. Supervision's a really big key. If students feel like a teacher or administrator isn't watching what's going on, they're going to be a lot more likely to bully someone because they know no one's around. In addition to that, high-risk areas, bathrooms, locker rooms, classrooms, there's no cameras. So if the bullying goes unreported or no one tells a teacher what's going on, it's really hard to find out what happened because we don't have those cameras there. And then I think one of the biggest ones in terms of the top three, which are verbal bullying, is there's no anti-bullying curriculum in a lot of places. That leads to kids not really understanding how big of an impact they're having by bullying the kids. So some things that when procedures are put into place to prevent bullying, there's a decrease of a lot of behaviors, right? So if there's anti-bullying curriculum put in, students might better understand the impact of their words. If they don't have this curriculum, they might just think, oh, I'm messing around, I'm joking around, this isn't a big deal. But when we show like the long-term effects of bullying to kids, that might resonate with them, and they might have that moment of not bullying someone because they know how harmful it is. Also, with that anti-bullying curriculum, students are going to be less accepting of bullying. So if it happens, if they know maybe if something is happening between two kids, they're going to be more likely to come tell a trusted adult, especially one who they have a positive relationship with. And that can help with the prevention, since adults can kind of deter it and get in the way of it. But that comes from creating that positive environment, having a student know that they're valued, they know they have a teacher that they can trust and talk to. And again, with that positive school environment, I think less kids feel the need to bully because they feel welcomed, right? They don't need to prove anything. Less kids feel left out, and everyone feels like a part of the same classroom, the same, I wouldn't go as far as family, but they have more respect for each other with that positive climate, which can lead to less bullying. So here are the websites that I use for my other 4 articles that I found. This is a good exercise in seeing just how important teachers' roles are in preventing bullying.